Now, Megan Greene is a senior research analyst at Greene Global Economics, and she joins us in the studio today. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
What do you make of the Eurobonds idea now? It seems to be kind of back on the agenda, and we're looking towards this as being a potential new old solution to try to gather the Eurozone crisis in one.
Yeah, it was always going to come back on the agenda as things got worse in the Eurozone crisis. But I think Germany will stick to its point that, Eurobonds can happen at the end of a very long process, which involves first political union, and we're seeing how well that's going, and then involves the pooling of assets, and finally at the very end involves a pooling of liabilities. And that's probably the right way to do it, but that is a very long-term process, would take at least a decade. And so starting that process now isn't a way to draw a line under the crisis.
I was having a huge philosophical discussion with someone yesterday about precisely the point about political union versus non-political union in the Eurozone. And you cannot have Eurobonds, as you point out as well, without having this political union. I mean, it seems very strange to think of a common Eurozone if you don't have a political commonality to start with.
Yeah, that's right. And I think Hollande and Monti would like to use Eurobonds as a way to get at political union. But I think Merkel's right that you need political union first.
If you don't have political union, can you save Greece?
No, I don't think that you can save Greece. I think Greece will have to exit the Eurozone as a way to finally return to growth. It's in its 5th year of recession. The new government's going to have to implement new austerity measures if Greece is to stay in. I don't think the Greek electorate is going to put up with much more of that.
I'm fascinated by this discussion. I was in Greece last week and fascinated by the discussion of whether or not the radical left is correct when saying that that the Eurozone leaders are bluffing. That even if the radical left manages to win the second round of elections on June the 17th, and if they say, well, we don't want austerity to the extent that the Eurozone leaders want austerity, but we don't think that they're going to push us out of the Eurozone because we don't want austerity to this extent.
Yeah, that's right. I think Tsipras, the head of Syriza, really believes there is no way the Eurozone would let Greece go. And unfortunately, I think that's completely wrong. I know for a fact that the Greek and Dutch governments have been modeling the price to them of a Greek exit. It's been on the table for a while, never so obviously as it is now, but I do think that Eurozone leaders are thinking, actually, Greece is special. It can be let go, and we can firewall the rest of the region.
Do you think that a potential Greek exit, would it be beneficial just to do it, or at this stage are we too far involved in trying to save Greece so it actually would end up being non-beneficial?
I think overall it would probably be beneficial for everyone involved, but it depends on the choreography. So I think it needs to be orderly and negotiated, like an amicable divorce, where the two sides get together and say this isn't working, and the Troika provides bridge financing to facilitate Greece's exit. Also, in terms of timing, right now is not the time. Greece still has a primary deficit, so Greece has an interest in buying some more time until they can at least get to a primary balance, so they might default without having to leave the Eurozone. And on the Troika side, I mean, Spain is right at the center of this crisis, and Eurozone leaders do have to wonder if Greece does default and exit over the next couple of months. What happens to Spain? How quickly does contagion spread?
Megan, I want to continue to talk a little bit more about the Eurobond scenario with you a bit later on.